In this video, we're going to use a graphing calculator to solve these two equations. And notice we have a mixture of x and trig functions, in this case cosine and sine. So let's look at this thing here just to clarify. Let's suppose we have the graph of y equal f of x as shown here. And I have x1, 0, x2, 0, and x3, 0. Those points represent the x-intercepts, where the graph crosses the x-axis, of course. Now suppose we wanted to solve f of x equal to 0. And this could be any expression involving a trig function, polynomial, and so forth. We want to solve this equation, f of x equals 0. For x. So we want to know for what values is f of x equal to 0. There, 0, there, 0. So the solution would be x1, x2, and x3. We call those the zeros of the polynomial. So in this case, that would represent the solution to that equation there. I'll get back to this one then. That simply means then that to solve this using the graphing calculator, we rewrite this as 2x minus 5 cosine of x equals to 0. Bring this over, and then we can just call this right here on the left side, that'll be your f of x. We want to know basically when is f of x equal to 0. Well, all we have to do then is graph that expression right there, and find the zeros, if any, and that would be your solution. So in my case, I'm using a virtual TI-83 plus. So I'm going to graph these, the first one, and I've already entered the first one there, and then I just hit graph. There's my graph. Obviously 0 is right here at the origin, and then 2 pi is somewhere over here. So we only want the zeros that lie in that interval. So we go to second, and then hit your trace key here. We're accessing the calculate menu there. That's this menu right here. And we're going to use the 0 function. So hit 2, and that's the first 0 right there. You can see that's where it crosses the x-axis. You want that little cursor there to the left of that point. Okay, as long as it's to the left, doesn't have to be right on it. And then we hit enter. And notice at the bottom left, it says it's asking for a left bound. So hit enter there. Now it wants a right bound. So what you have to do is get the cursor past that point. And then hit enter. Now at the lower left, it says it wants a guess. You can just ignore that and hit enter. And notice it tells you a 0 is x equal 1.11 to two decimal places. And notice over here the y equals to 0. So it tells you that represents the x-intercept, where x is 1.11 and the y is 0. And you can see that if you look to the right here, notice the x value. We want to stay within 0 and 2 pi. So if I keep going, 2 pi is about 6.28. So notice I got past, and the graph is still above the x-axis. So we're out of the interval. There's only one solution here. So the only solution we have for this one then is x is equal to 1.11 to two decimal places. Okay, for the next one, put this under equal, hit enter, deselect this one, and then go down and select the second one. And this one I already have it also. So what I would do is I would bring the sine x over. So this would be 3 cosine x plus x, and then minus the sine of x. And that would be equal to 0. And then this expression right here then would be your function f of x. So then you would graph this and find the zeros, or the same thing as the first components of the x-intercepts. So like I said, I have it entered there, 3 cosine of x plus x minus sine x. We select the second function, hit graph, and you can see there it appears to have 2 intercepts here. So we find the first one there by going to second, trace, accessing the calculate menu. We want 0, so hit 2. So again, we want to stay between 0 and 2 pi, or approximately 6.28. So once the left bound, so we bring in that cursor close to where the first point is, first intercept. So that's good there. Hit enter. Once the left bound. Now once the right bound, so past that point, hit enter. The guess you can ignore. And you can see there's 0 at x equal 1.889. And you want to make sure that the value of y is 0. That assures that the point there represents an intercept. And of course it tells you it's a 0. So one solution to this equation then, rounded to 2 places, is that x is equal to 1.89. And clear this and go to second, again calculate, number 2, 0. Now there's another point right here, so let's move this a little closer and hit enter. That's the left bound. The right bound, go past it, above that x-axis there, hit enter. And then it was a guess, you can ignore that, hit enter. And you can see it tells you it's a 0. And the y value is very small here. But you can see so this is really close to 0 here, the y value. It's the approximation there. So the next solution for this one then, the 2 places is 3.07. And you can kind of see from the graph that the graph stays above the x-axis, so it's going to pass the point 2 pi. So in this case we have just those 2 solutions, 1.89 and 3.07. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.